Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I'm John Pollock, and we've got John Ramdeen and Robin Black on the panel to chat about today's news as we are just days away from UFC 188. We're going to chat about the main event between Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Werdum. Plus, we find out who is next in line for title fights at both welterweight and lightweight. Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Werdum are set to headline this Saturday's UFC 188 card in Mexico City to determine the undisputed heavyweight champion, and tensions are rising between the two fighters. On the first episode of Embedded, Werdum made a joke that Velasquez is an American who thinks he is Mexican. Later in the week, when the two were at the Fighter Hotel, Velasquez refused to shake Werdum's hand because of the comment, and Werdum has since clarified the statement. Ariel Helwani reported on UFC Tonight that welterweight Johnny Hendricks and his camp has been told that they will be getting the next title fight against the winner of Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald on July 11th at UFC 189. Rightly so, the camp is taking the promise with a grain of salt, but did state that Hendricks will be attending UFC 189 next month. Hendricks dropped the title to Lawler last December and rebounded with a convincing victory over Matt Brown this past March. And Donald Cerrone may be the only fighter to ever be unhappy about a guaranteed title fight. It was reported on UFC Tonight that Cerrone has been promised the next lightweight championship fight against Rafael dos Anjos, but not until the champion recovers from his MCL injury, and are looking to hold the fight in December. Cerrone has asked to fight in the meantime, and the UFC has told him no. This Saturday, we are live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, counting down to UFC 188 from Mexico City with all of your analysis, and Stipe Miocic stopping by the program. And then immediately after the main event between Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Werdum, tune it back to Fight Network for our live post-fight show, including the post-fight press conference from Mexico. Here with John Ramdeen and Robin Black, we have UFC 188 coming up on Saturday night. Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Werdum. Werdum working overtime here to just try and create some more interest for this fight going into it. What have you thought of the comment Fabricio Werdum made, and now this is suddenly, it's our biggest news story in the world. Yeah, he threw an insult at Cain Velasquez's way. Are we just grasping at straws here?
Yeah, I think we are, because I think if you saw our FN's pros picks, everybody's picking Cain Velasquez to win this fight, besides Vanderlei Silva and any affiliation with Fabricio. Any of the fighters that have any affiliation.
So weird about pro picks when you've worked with a guy, you trained with them.
Yeah, of course.
But everyone on AKA picked Cain.
Yeah, that's right. But however, if you listen to Daniel Cormier, at least he's very analytical. It makes sense. But everybody's picking Cain Velasquez, so Fabricio Werdum, just doing whatever to try to get under Cain's skin. And I think that, he's got a great mentality. If you look at those embedded shows, Fabricio Werdum not living in paradise. He's, living in a camp, 2 mattresses on the floor, his other 2 rooms, same thing, really living like a hungry champion. And he wants to be the aggressor. He told Robin he wants to be the aggressor, and he believes that because Cain Velasquez has been out for so long, he has a couple of more tools. On top of that, he's been preparing for Cain Velasquez for so long. So I think we're going to see a very different fight than maybe a lot of people anticipate.
Yeah, I think so. I'm surprised nobody's calling him a racist, because if you did say somebody was a fake blank about a lot of people's backgrounds and cultures, you'd be called a racist. In this case, he's getting away with it.
He speaks Spanish.
He does somehow. I guess that's all right. If he's saying all this stuff to sell more tickets and more pay-per-views, that's his business.
He gets a cut of it.
Yeah, you want to make some money? Go make some money. If he's saying this stuff because he's trying to use it as a weapon, as a psychological weapon, we know that guys are understanding that affecting your opponent's mood and attitude and emotions can help. If he's doing it for that reason, I think he's wasting his time and barking up the wrong tree with Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez goes out in the state he needs to be in, and he executes the way that he needs to execute. If he's doing all of this to try to affect the way that Cain performs, I think it's a waste of time. I think he could use his time a little
But what
better.
about the fact that Cain Velasquez refused to shake his hand? Maybe it is getting into his mind, and even if this isn't a part of the game, if you can introduce these things, okay, focus on your training, be prepared to deal with the physical elements that Cain Velasquez brings to the table, but throw these things his way, and hopefully it can affect him.
Yeah, I think the easy attitude or the easy way to look at it would be like, you don't want to get Cain Velasquez mad. No, you don't want to do that. Truth is, maybe you do want to get Cain Velasquez mad. The reason people use these psychological tools is to make you perform in ways you don't normally perform. Cain Velasquez does not perform angry. Cain Velasquez performs aggressively, but not angrily. So try to make him angry. I just don't think it'll work.
Yeah,
if it's
I agree.
for that purpose, I think it's a bit of a waste of time. But it gives us something to talk about.
Do you guys believe that Fabricio Werdum has surpassed Junior Dos Santos as the second best heavyweight in the world? Because Javier Mendez does not believe that's the case. He feels that Junior Dos Santos is the #2 heavyweight. We look at what Cain did to him. I believe Junior Dos Santos not the same fighter after those, particularly the second and third fights with Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, we talked about the whole Travis Brown situation because I think at one point everybody believed that Travis Brown would be the guy that would get the heavyweight title shot, but because of the fights and the damage he sustained in his last number of fights, we don't have the same Travis Brown as the one that we saw. And I think we're seeing the same thing with Junior Dos Santos. He's not as sharp as he once was. Is he the #2 guy? He very well could be.
You're throwing that war with Stipe Miocic. He wins that fight, but my God.
And
that visual of him at the post-fight press conference, like that is a case of, we talk about safety of fighters, like that is a perfect example of a guy who was not the same after a fight as he was going into it.
That's why they need to get paid.
The 2 wars with Cain Velasquez and that fight with Miocic, I think, like that's just human evolution, where you cannot withstand certain battles like that and still expect to perform at the level you went into those fights with.
You start getting into 12 and 13 and 14 and 15 rounds of that kind of intense car accident damage. Yeah, man, you're never going to be the same. As far as whether Werdum is the #2 guy or not, I think this is a fight that'll show us, because we know Junior Dos Santos is not only devastating with his striking. I thought he was the #2 guy until he fought Cain, and then it's like, well, maybe his wrestling and his in-between game isn't as good. Or maybe Cain's just so good that he does that to people. Because if he makes Werdum look like nothing in those departments, we'll go, oh yeah,
He's just that good. He is the pound-for-pound best in the world.
And that's why you got to watch this fight. Hey man, it's your business why you watch this fight. If a guy not shaking another guy's hand is what's going to get you watching it, more power to you. But you got to watch this fight, because this is probably truly the best fighter in the world. Or he isn't. And if he isn't, that means this next guy who's trying to unseat him in Werdum is. So this is a must-see. This is a huge one.
Quick thought on Donald Cerrone and Johnny Hendricks. They've been
Come on.
They've been told they're getting the next title fights. I like that we are at least at a point now where Johnny Hendricks and his camp are like, yeah, we'll believe this title shot when we see it. I don't care what the UFC is telling us right now.
Yeah, because there's so many intangibles. What happens if this fight between Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald is so close, a split decision where people, oh, this guy got robbed, that guy got robbed. The UFC, well, let's do it again. So it all depends on what happens.
Condit.
Johnny Hendricks beat him.
All right, we'll see who's going to get the title fight. Maybe it'll be CM Punk. Yeah. I would love that, just for Robin Black.
To piss everybody off.
Enjoyment. We have more Fight News Now Extra as Robin quits in protest.